Talking about skill levels and twinks that we spoke of recently, the idea, and Smurfs, I think is what they used to be called. Twinks is just a much more beautiful word for it. I think
Twinks
it
were,
works.
like, as someone says, Twinking's existed since Vanilla WoW. So
I saw a lot of it in Dark Souls, and in Dark Souls 3 specifically. So, in Dark Souls 3, the PvP was based on brackets, and the brackets were based on the highest level upgraded weapon that you had and your level. So people realised that actually the best thing to do in Dark Souls 3 if you wanted to be amazingly good in PvP was speedrun the entire game as a level 1, get some broken overpowered late game weapon, return back to the very first area, and then start looking for PvP matches. So you would start the PvP match with a ridiculously powerful weapon that you hadn't actually upgraded, so it still put you in the same bracket of brand new player.
yeah,
I mean, do you think
breaking
RuneScape does it?
concept.
Old school RuneScape, strength pures. That's all Twinking is.
It is, but you also have to remember that players in that game have complete option over who they fight, which means that all these pures can go up against higher level players, and they will do, because the reward from that is the higher level player's gear. And you've got this whole risk and reward.
But do you think that is they're kind of obscuring that information by keeping their combat level low? Because in old school RuneScape specifically, the idea of getting 99 strength and enough to wield the Obby Maul makes you as a player look relatively weak because it keeps your combat level low, but then you hit incredibly high.
But at the trade-off of your defense being absolute butter. And that kind of fixes that system, because the builds in RuneScape, like the Pures, are very good at a specific thing. Mage Pures are very good at, high damage output, but they usually try to stay at 10 health or as low health as possible. So there's always that trade-off. And in RuneScape, there is a separation where strength is tied, like player strength is tied to individual levels and gear separately. And you can very easily, I mean, in RuneScape, if you look at a player, you immediately know, I don't want to mess with them, even though they're lower level, or you look at a higher level player and you're like, yeah, I could take them.
Yeah.
Whereas in other games, you don't make that decision. You're thrown into a battleground with other players your level, assuming that because of that, assuming that number represents a fair fight between the two of you, but it absolutely doesn't.
Talking about that gathering of information between what you can visually see on a character, we were talking about this when we were playing Guild Wars 1 a couple of days ago. MMORPG games didn't used to have a hell of a lot of cosmetics. What you were equipped with was what other players could see, which means whenever a fight started, you could actually gather a lot of information about that fight very quickly based on what you could see other people were wearing or were wielding. Then, a lot of transmogs, and this is why I don't like transmogrifications.
Oh, man.
I do not like them, simply because it takes away a lot of the information and a lot of the interactivity of that fight before the fight actually begins. If I see someone running toward me in RuneScape and I can see they are wearing full RMs and they've got a whip on, I know their magic and range events very... I know exactly what that is. I know they're going to go for melee. I know they're going for this. If they run at me with wings and a bright cosmetic suit on, I don't know what they're going to do. And I think part of the skill of learning PvP is learning what decisions to make based on the information given to you before the actual battle begins.
Yeah, Transmog straight up takes away the moment-to-moment gameplay of almost any game. What is the first thing you do when you duel somebody in WoW? Right-click inspect. Imagine if you could just look at them like in RuneScape and go, yeah, I know what I'm getting into here.
Now, people have said just turn off Transmog for PvP, and I get that, but... And we're going into a different thing now. This is going to be an entire tangent on its own, but personally, I think Transmogs... I know that people like them. And I get that people like them, and I respect people that like them. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with them. I like the freedom that it brings to your character, but I feel that it also takes away the narrative connection to every individual item. When I see someone wearing Bandos armor, or when I see someone carrying Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, or when I see someone walking around with a mythical weapon in Guild Wars 2 or a ridiculously powerful thing, I know that that item, the visualization of that item, the graphics, has a story behind it. I get it.
And this leads in something that I'd said to our team. It directly affects the effort that a game team have to put in. Because look at it like this. Transmog, I believe, was added at the start of Cataclysm in WoW. What are all the items that people transmog to? Pre-Cataclysm, because they had to design really cool-looking armor. If you look at all of the set pieces since Cataclysm, all of the dungeon items, they're recolors and reskins of existing items because they know everyone will transmog to that. And the incentive to make better looking armor or more coherent looking armor is just gone. Because now their incentive is, well, this artist has made a really, really nice outfit. Let's stick it on the cash shop.
Yeah. One of the big reasons that I am against transmogs is I often see them as a slippery slope toward let's just make ridiculously outlandish gear that no longer fits the theme or the overall aesthetic of our game because we know people are going to buy it. And this links back to the company deposits, company withdrawals that we spoke about earlier. If a game that is traditionally fantasy releases a transmog that is real world, or that is sci-fi, or that doesn't fit with the aesthetic, that is a withdrawal of player trust. Yeah, people are going to buy it because they want to look dumb and stupid with it.
But it demotivates the actual players as well because they don't want to spend money. You've played Heroes of the Storm, so you know this. Look at all the skins that you can unlock that were just there from day one, from all the way through leveling. They were pretty cool. And then they added buyable cosmetics. And suddenly, everything pales in comparison to the store-buyable ones. So if you're a free player, you may as well just not bother.
I also think it just looks a bit silly, because sometimes, and again, I think I'm in the kind of minority with this, but when I'm playing an MMORPG game, I like aesthetic cohesion. I like a aesthetic consistency, if you will. If I'm playing a fantasy game, I quite like it when all of the players look like they belong in this fantasy world. I quite like it when the cities and the towns and the mounts and the weapons look like they belong in this fantasy world. If I'm playing a fantasy game and someone runs past carrying a laser rifle, I'm kind of thinking, you've really pushed your narrative cohesion and your aesthetic cohesion
out the
window and replaced it with just, hey, buy this thing and put it in the game, and it's silly.
Like, everyone keeps saying, oh, but when you're leveling up, you can't have consistent armor styles and that. What is better than being, like, just roaming around low-level areas in RuneScape, in old school, and seeing somebody wearing an iron chain body, a bronze med helm, a steel short sword, and you look at them, and you know that their goal is to upgrade for 1, stats, and 2, so that they look like they've got the full set of armor. You remove that with Transmog.
You know what we've lost now? Here's what we've lost. If you're a brand new player to an MMO RPG right now, you will likely never see another RuneScape player wearing dragon plate legs, granite plate body, obsidian cape, dragon med helm, dragon longsword, and what shield would they normally have? Not like a dragon fire shield or something like that. Maybe the obsidian shield.
The obsidian shield, yeah.
That was a look that everyone recognised as we all go through that stage at some point. We go through that. I get it. Yeah.
And like in big Slayer dungeons, in RuneScape, you see people run through and you'll see like, okay, they've got dragon hide top, rune plate legs.
Yeah.
And, this mishmashed outfit, but you know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know where they're going. They're going to kill wyverns or something.
Yeah.
But then when you've got everyone coming in with glittery wings and a full, like, angelic outfit, you don't know what anyone's doing.
I've just realised RuneScape did transmogs before transmogs were a massive thing, because what do you think gold-trimmed armour was? It was literally that armour with a little graphical flourish that let you know, hey, I want to look a bit different, but I'm using this. Now,
and, like, there's games like, is it Final Fantasy, where you can just straight up dye an entire armour piece a different colour?
Yeah.
And you just look at that and you're just like, I don't even know what that is anymore. It looks cool, but I don't know what it is.
And again, there's when we discuss design, a lot of people like to jump on and go, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Discussing design is not about finding the ideal game.
No.
It's about discussing all possible potentials, seeing the pros, seeing the cons, and making an artistic choice that you as a designer can stand behind and defend. There is no perfect way to design anything. Because if there was a perfect way to design it, we may have found it by now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's the kind of, if you're everybody's cup of tea, you're a mug. Like, you water down the good things by adding a lot of everything. And a lot of games just do that now, and they are falling short because of it.
Yeah, you need to look at all the choices and then discuss all of them.